The script meeting for the new season ended at nearly 11 p.m. The actors stood up, exchanged pleasantries, and then dispersed. But what caught everyone's attention the most was the unusual silence between Heughan and Caitriona Balfe. Usually, they were the last two to leave the room, joking, arguing, or discussing sensitive scenes. But this time, things were distinctly different. Caitriona stood up first, closed the script, and didn't look at Sam. She just whispered to the director, "Tomorrow, I'll confirm my notes." Then she walked quickly to the door, without turning around. Sam sat still, not saying a word. He leaned his elbows on the table, staring at the page he had just read, and no one could tell what he was thinking. The production crew began to whisper. One assistant whispered, "When we were discussing that scene, Sam was about to say something to Caitriona, but she interrupted in front of everyone." Another added, "She's never done that to him." In the hallway, Caitriona's shoes clicked on the cold stone floor. Sam followed a few minutes later, but kept his distance. No one heard a word they said to each other. No glances, no nods. The problem began with the kiss scene in episode 3, when the director suggested reworking the characters' emotions to be more explosive, more intimate. Sam responded calmly, but Caitriona was strangely silent. When the director asked for her opinion, she simply replied, "If there's anything to change, I want to know the real reason behind it." Sam turned to look at her, about to say something, but before she could open her mouth, Caitriona stood up to get some water and change the subject. The atmosphere immediately turned cold. As they were about to leave the hallway, Sam suddenly quickened his pace and touched Caitriona's shoulder lightly. She paused, but didn't turn around. The moment lasted only 2 seconds. Then she said softly, enough for him to hear but no one else to hear, "Not here." Sam withdrew his hand. He looked down and replied in a short, almost whispery voice, "Then when?" Caitriona didn't answer. She just kept walking, her long coat sweeping the floor, leaving a space behind her that Sam didn't fill. That night, the crew was told to absolutely not talk about what had just happened. But rumors always found a way to spread. A technician filmed Sam standing alone in the parking lot, clutching her phone but not making a call. Another assistant saw Caitriona sitting in the car for more than 10 minutes without starting it, just looking down at the script on the seat next to her. And the questions began to arise. Did they just disagree about the scene? Or was something more personal being dragged into their working relationship? Was this silence temporary, or a sign of a real rift? No one could say, but the next morning, neither of them had spoken a word to each other. The next morning, no one knew exactly when Sam and Caitriona arrived at the studio. The only thing everyone noticed was, they were avoiding each other so cleverly that it was obvious. In the makeup area, Caitriona sat in front of the mirror, the pale yellow light shining on her cheekbones, creating an unreadable cold look. She didn't say anything, just reviewed a few scenes printed separately in the additional script. A stylist asked quietly, "Do you want to change your hairstyle for scene 3 today?" She replied softly, without raising her head, "Leave it as it was yesterday." At the same time, in the next room, Sam was getting her outfit adjusted. An assistant joked, "Are you sure you are going to sweat in a love scene today?" Sam didn't laugh. He just said, "It's up to them to decide which scenes to keep and which to remove." That sentence was enough to make the whole room quiet for a few seconds. Around 9 o'clock, the main director, Marcus, called a short meeting to review the shooting schedule for the week. The whole crew gathered in the back studio. Sam and Caitriona were both present, but still did not exchange glances. Those sitting nearby could feel the tension spreading like an invisible gas. Marcus handed over the new edit. Episode 3 will be slightly adjusted. The scene in the fireplace will be more intimate. There is a dramatic reason for the emotional flow, so I suggest you to prepare yourself. A cameraman glanced at Sam, then at Caitriona, but no one reacted clearly. Caitriona just tapped her hand lightly on the table. Sam crossed her arms, her eyes on the manuscript. Marcus added, "I'll let you two discuss it yourselves before shooting. No pressure, but the emotion is necessary." That sentence made the atmosphere heavier. Some thought they would talk after the meeting, but surprisingly, they both stood up at the same time, and each walked in a different direction, without saying anything to anyone. A young assistant named Aaron, who had only been on the job for 3 months, accidentally witnessed a conversation that was probably not meant to be heard. When she was carrying the script into the director's lounge, the door was still open, and inside, the voices of 2 crew members were whispering. "Sam stayed until almost 1 o'clock last night. I saw him open his phone and put it away several times." And Caitriona told the manager that, if that scene didn't have a good reason, she wouldn't do it again. Didn't they used to act it out even stronger than the script? That was before. Aaron paused just for 2 seconds, then walked away, but it was enough to pique her curiosity. If this kind of information got out, any fan would cut and paste and infer 1,000 different versions. At noon, the crew sat down to eat in the common lounge. Caitriona chose a separate table, opened the salad box, put on her headphones, pretended to review the script on her tablet but actually looked into space. On the other side, Sam received a call, his voice low, unlike the way he usually talked in front of everyone. A lighting staff whispered, "Are they really angry or are they hiding something?" The person next to her replied, "I don't know, but Marcus suddenly changed his schedule today because of them." The turning point came in the afternoon, when an internal memo was mistakenly sent. The script department sent the note to the director and Sam, but in the CC list there was also another assistant, who then took screenshots of the content and passed it around in the crew's private chat group. The content was not much, just 3 lines. "The intimate scene in episode 3 needs to be adjusted according to the actors' true feelings. They reacted strangely in yesterday's meeting. It can be postponed if one of them is not ready." Just 3 lines, but enough to fuel all the speculation. Real feelings. Not ready. Strange reaction. Everyone read it differently. A cameraman commented, "What do you mean by real feelings? I wonder if there's something else going on outside the script?" The makeup artist replied, "Don't joke, what if there's something that's not appropriate to show?" The news didn't reach Sam and Caitriona right away, but the disruption in how others viewed them made every little move suspicious. By late afternoon, Marcus decided to call Sam privately first. "Do you have a problem with the scene being adjusted?" Sam sat up straight in her chair, her eyes dark but not evasive. "I don't object to that scene. But Caitriona doesn't seem to want it to be what it was before." "When was before?" Sam didn't answer right away. A small exhale. Marcus didn't ask further, but his gaze sharpened. About an hour later, Caitriona was called into the same room. Sam had left. Marcus asked, "If the script was meant to go deeper emotionally, would you object?" She didn't answer right away, just folded her arms and leaned back in her chair. "I don't object, but if people think the emotion in that scene came from somewhere other than the character, then I'm not sure I should continue in that direction." Marcus looked at her. "You mean from Sam?" Caitriona looked up, but neither confirmed nor denied. "I mean, anyone who feels they're being looked at the wrong way." The sentence was both light and heavy as a stone. Marcus just nodded and changed the subject. Around 7 p.m., the studio was clearing up. But Sam didn't come back. Caitriona didn't either. Each of them was in a different area, deliberately avoiding contact, but again, which made them all the more vulnerable to being caught if they accidentally bumped into each other. What was unexpected was, they did run into each other, in the hallway leading to the prop room. The door wasn't closed properly. Caitriona was standing with her back turned, grabbing her coat. Sam walked over, stopping a few feet away from her. No one was around. "We need to talk," Sam said in a low, slightly hoarse voice. Caitriona didn't turn around right away. "Not today." Sam took another step. "You're letting people get the wrong idea." She turned around, finally facing him. "And you didn't tell them anything, right?" The air was thick. The air conditioner in the room was still audible. Sam squeezed the hand holding the phone lightly. "So what is the right thing?" Caitriona looked at him, her eyes no longer cold, but a little defensive. "If you don't want that scene to become a problem, don't act like it reminds you of something else." Sam looked deep into her eyes, silent for a few long seconds. "And you, don't use silence to escape." That moment, even though no one touched anyone, even though there wasn't a single word, had more tension than any intimate scene ever filmed. And ironically, right around the corner, a small figure walked in, Erin. She didn't intend to eavesdrop, just to get her bag to go home. But as soon as she got closer, she heard Sam's last sentence. Instinct made her stop, not having time to leave. The door closed shortly after. But only 4 seconds were enough for imagination to do the rest. Late that night, an anonymous message appeared in the small group chat of the backstage crew. "What are they hiding from?" Sam said, "Don't use silence to hide." And Caitriona mentioned, recalling something else. "Does anyone know what their past was?" No one replied, but some people stayed online for a long time without typing. The next day, the filming schedule changed again. The intimate scene was postponed indefinitely. And more importantly, Caitriona asked permission not to participate in the joint interview with Sam that had been scheduled in advance. Fans outside didn't know the reason, but the crew started piecing together the things they heard, saw, and imagined. There was only one thing that no one could answer. Was it silence between them, or something more dangerous than silence, something that no one dared to say?